CBS News Battleground Tracker poll results from the key primary states. In the Republican race, it's all about Donald Trump in New Hampshire, where at 38%, he leads the pack by 26 points. Ben Carson is next with 12%, followed by the rest of the field in single digits. In South Carolina, the story is the same. Trump is ahead of Carson by almost 20 percentage points, with the rest of the field, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and Jeb Bush all in single digits, everyone else coming in behind them. But in Iowa, the Republican race has tightened. Donald Trump and Ben Carson are tied for first place at 27%. Ted Cruz is the only other candidate to earn double digits at 12%. Marco Rubio comes in at 9%, and the rest of the field is at 6% or less. We'll have the numbers in the Democratic race coming up in a moment. We want to go now to Donald Trump, who joins us by phone. Mr. Trump, in our polls, we show you up everywhere but Iowa, where you're tied with Ben Carson, and that plus some other recent polls in Iowa seems to have made you go after Mr. Carson.
Well, I don't understand Iowa because, frankly, I just left, and we had tremendous crowds and tremendous enthusiasm, and, frankly, even to be tied, I'm a little surprised. I know that I'm very honored by what's happened in New Hampshire and in South Carolina. It's amazing results. It's amazing. But I think that Iowa, it has that same incredible feeling. We had a rally there the other day, and it was so intense, and there was so much love in the room. So I'm actually surprised, very surprised, that I'm even tied in Iowa.
Let me ask you about some things you said about Ben Carson. In Florida, you said,
I'm Presbyterian. Boy, that's down the middle of the road, folks, in all fairness. I mean, Seventh-day Adventist, I don't know about. I just don't know about.
Mr. Carson's Seventh-day Adventist. What did you mean by that?
Well, exactly what I said. I don't know about that. I don't know about what that is. I'm not that familiar with it. I've heard about it, but I'm not that familiar with it. That wasn't meant to be an insult, obviously. It's just that I don't know about it.
Okay, so an expression of ignorance, not raising questions about it.
Well, it's a harsh way of putting it, but perhaps I could say it that way, yes, because I just don't know about, as I said, I don't know about that.
You also mentioned Mr. Carson was controlled by his PAC, but he has received more small dollar donations than anybody else. So isn't that a sign that he's got grassroots support and not that he's controlled by his PAC, as you've claimed about other people?
Well, the people running his PAC are highly trained professionals, I would imagine. And those people are using that PAC differently than you're supposed to use a PAC. They are running Iowa for him. They are in there. They're doing all sorts of things that are totally different than what you're supposed to be doing. And, Ben is in Iowa very little. He does not go to Iowa much. The people are doing leaflets. They're doing all this stuff. They're essentially campaigning for him in Iowa, and that's not what a PAC is supposed to be. It's not supposed to happen that way. And as you know, I've disavowed all PACs. I had many people setting up PACs for me. And we sent letters last week saying we we respect them, we love them, assuming it's all on the up and up, because I don't know, these people run PACs. I don't know what they do with everything, but certainly for the ones that are doing it with the right intention. But we disavowed all PACs, every one of them, John, and every candidate should do the same thing. This whole PAC concept is fraught with problems, and I think you're going to see tremendous problems with PACs over the years, and I am disavowing all PACs. I don't want anybody. I'm self-funding my campaign. Other than the little contributions where people send $7 and $50 and $100. We love that because that's an investment. That's a real investment in our country and the campaign. But other than that, I have totally, I don't want any money. And I think that people should disavow, candidates should disavow their PACs.
Let me ask you about another one of your challengers. Let's listen to something that Jeb Bush said recently.
I got a lot of really cool things that I could do other than sit around being miserable, listening to people demonize me and me feeling compelled to demonize them. That is a joke. Elect Trump if you want that.
So he says you're a demonizer.
Well, look, I'm trying to say it like it is. His campaign is in disarray. He paid one person $1.3 million, and he's languishing way, way back in the PAC. but his campaign is a total disaster. He's paid people far too much. Now he's cutting everybody's salaries. And as a businessman, if he can cut salaries 40 and 50%, why didn't he do it when he started? Why is he doing it now? Why did he hire him in the first place for so much? That means they would have worked for a lot less money. But his campaign is in disarray. His whole thing is a mess. But, you know, he paid one person, as I understand it, now maybe that's incorrect, but paid over $1 million for one person. And, you know, it's okay, maybe after everything's done, they get a great incentive, but he's doing very poorly. You don't pay that kind of money. So he's got some problems.
Let me ask you a couple policy questions here. We're about to have a fight over the government's ability to borrow money, the debt limit. Do you think it's an economic problem if the debt limit is not raised? Will that hurt the economy?
Well, I think what they should do is use the debt limit as a very strong negotiating tool to make other changes and to cut costs elsewhere. The Republicans don't know how to negotiate, to be honest with you. I'm a Republican. It's embarrassing to watch them negotiate.
But I
mean, John Boehner said the other day he will not use the debt limit. He will not close. Well, I'll tell you what, when you say that, you have now given everything to the Democrats and to President Obama because they have their way 100%.
But let me ask you about that question of the debt limit. Do you think that if it's breached, that's an economic problem? Leaving aside the question of negotiation, because there's a debate about it.
I don't want to say, and I'll tell you why. We should use it as negotiation, and the problem we have in this country, we're so predictable, whether it's with ISIS or with Iraq or with the negotiation of a debt limit. Boehner should not be saying we will not close, because you can't negotiate once you say that. You've given up 95% of your strength when you do that. So I'm not going to say, but I will tell you, it's an amazing tool to negotiate because it is a very, very, I mean, it's fairly catastrophic if it happens. But some people are willing to go through that in order to win, and by the way, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, in order to win and in order to cut the kind of costs. There is so much waste and so much fat. It's like Jeb Bush's campaign. There's waste and there's fat. And he's trying to solve the problem. But see, a person like that cannot solve the problem of the country because the country has the same problem that he has.
Very quickly here, the last question. Balancing the budget, it's the number one thing in our polls say Republicans say they want. How fast would you as a president balance the budget? And we're running out of time here.
Well, I'd like to do it as quickly as possible, and I'll be able to cut far better than anybody else, and I'll be able to bring jobs back far, far better than anybody else. Nobody will be close.
All right, Mr. Trump, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Taking a morning off the campaign trail to join us in person is 2016 Republican candidate and Governor